Absolutely. So there's a couple different steps that go into this, and I can tell you, our brokerage does a little over 4,500 deals a year. We do a lot of work with investors, and if you've got a tenant-occupied property right now and you're the landlord, you're almost always going to get a lot more money and sell the house a lot faster if you get the tenant out of the property and at least do a basic cleanup and maybe swap out whatever things have been worn so that when the buyers take a look at it, it looks really, really sharp. A common misconception is that, well, I can just show the property with a tenant in it, and that almost never leads to a very desirable outcome. So the first big step for preparing for success is you may have 3 or 4 properties that you bought 5 years ago. They've all appreciated really well. You want to try to synchronize those leases to all end at approximately the same time. So if they're month to month, that'll be very simple, of course. If they're on longer term leases, when you do your next renewal, don't just automatically sign a 12-month extension. Sign a 4-month extension, a 17-month extension, a 9-month extension, so that all the properties you want to dispose of all come up at the same time. That's the first foundational step. And then what you can do is when they all vacate, you can clean them up as necessary, put them on the market at a correct price so they sell rapidly, and then do a 1031 exchange. Are you familiar with that, or do you want me to walk through that logic?
No, that was a great breakdown. We're going to talk about the 1031 exchange, but I love what you just said about lining up all the leases, because now you have a plan, right? That's why this is preparing for success. Okay, cool. I have these handful of properties. If you're a landlord and you have, 3 or more properties, maybe even 2, there's so much appetite for people to come in and buy those that this could be a huge, huge payday for you. And with everything you learn at Connected Investors, you can figure out how to move that money. But the 1031 is very, very important. So why don't you go ahead and break down what a 1031 is?
Absolutely. So let's pretend with the same example that you bought the asset, your house, for $100,000. You're going to sell it for $300,000. So very oversimplified. Obviously, your capital gain would be about $200,000. And you might pay about 25% of your tax rate on that. So you have a $50,000 liability to the IRS. So you could choose to sell the property and just pay that tax, or instead you could do what's called a 1031 exchange. It's called that because Section 1031 of the IRS tax code describes how to defer the taxes. So what you do is you sell these 3 properties at approximately the same time, and then you have 45 days after the sale of the first of the properties to identify up to 3 replacements. And that might be a warehouse, an office building, or maybe a multifamily. And then you have a total of 6 months to actually close on your replacement property. You'll need to follow all the rules. So if you go to your website, I'm sure you've got a whole section on 1031s that'll break that down in a little bit more detail. But if you follow the rules, you defer the payment of the gain until you sell the relinquished property. You don't have to pay the taxes now, which is fantastic. What's really great about this is that you can do this 1031 exchange as many times as you wish, as long as you just follow the rules. When you pass away and your kids inherit that warehouse from you, it's a great thing. If the warehouse is now worth, say, $10 million and you bought it for $4 million, it'd have this gigantic tax liability. The IRS allows the kid who inherits it to get an appraisal as part of the estate process. They inherited it at $10 million. They can sell it the next day, no tax bill whatsoever. It's the greatest way to transfer wealth between generations that's ever been invented.
It's the ultimate legacy play. So just to kind of sum it up, the whole time you're flipping real estate, you're never paying $1 in tax. And then in the capital gains, right? And then when you pass away, your kids get it and it's gone. It's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I can't.
And what's great is you can build a lot of equity in this using the 1031s, and you can still refinance, pull out cash, and that's a non-taxable event.
Yeah, the key component in all of this, Lon, from what I'm hearing, is the timing. If you have all of these leases, because it's sometimes, guys, if you're not planning ahead and you sell a property, now you have to go find a property, so you overpay for another property because you have to buy something now.
Right.
You call someone up, you're like, I need a deal, and you just wind up overpaying. So if all your leases are ending at the same time, you have some time to start locating those properties and get a better deal. This way, you know. But honestly, with all the money you save, you can afford, in the example he just gave, you can afford to pay $50,000 more for the property because you're about to either give it away to the government or pay more for the property. So I'd rather give it to another real estate investor than, to the government. So that's, either way, it's a win-win, but This is a really fantastic, fantastic strategy here.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.